Hello, I'm back. So I think I'm just gonna make a couple of more videos of just stuff that's been on my mind and stuff I've seen on other channels too, but stuff it's been on my mind, you know, based on my own experience. And one thing, I think I was just talking about this about my husband, with my husband, because like I said, he knows my mother and how she really is. How, you know, well, the narcissist is very good at putting on a facade to the outside world, and sometimes even their victims they have fooled because of all the gaslighting and, you know, acting like the loving parent, but then doing something totally different, convincing you your perceptions are wrong. But every so often you get these moments where they sort of let their guard down and they tell you who they really are. And it could be either a look on their face, like actually a smirk when they see you're upset or as they're putting you down, or if they get agitated or into a rage and stuff just comes flying out of their mouth that, you know, usually they're very well rehearsed and very composed and they say the right thing, but then some of the things they say when they're unedited, you're just flabbergasted, and, you know, because what horrible people they are really comes out. Or you'll confront them on something that they did, and, you know, we confront them on what they did and why it's wrong and why it pissed you off, and they just laugh about it. Like, I know, like basically saying, yeah, I knew it was going to make you upset and that's why I did it. So, like, one example, you know how, like, I said, you know, I'm not on anything now, but I've been on, like, antidepressants in the past, you know, not because I think I don't think I even have any organic chemical imbalance. I think it was just a reaction to my environment now looking back, because, I mean, now I'm away from my mother and I don't really feel like I need anything. And then my mom said to me once, well, maybe you should have been medicated for something consistently, like I have some sort of chemical imbalance or I'm crazy or, you know, whatever. You know, because you've underachieved your whole life and you haven't done this and you haven't done that, you know, and I'm like, well, Ma, I don't think I've done that horribly. Like, I have 2 degrees, you know, I was a good student, you know, like, I've had good relationships, whatever. And she's like, well, we don't know what could have been. You could have been the cheerleader with the 97 average. I mean, first of all, we're talking about my life as a whole. So, and then she decides to zero in on high school. So right there, that tells you, like, where her priorities are and how her mental development is obviously stunted, because if she's viewing your social status in high school as, like, representative of what you achieve in life. So that right there tells you a lot. But as far as my grades, like, you know, I was an intelligent person, I was a good student, but it just, you know, there's always those people in your grade that they want to be the valedictorian because it's important to them to have the highest GPA in the class or the perfect transcript, all A's or whatever, not 1B, you know. That kind of thing just never really mattered to me. Like, I just thought it was very short-sighted and, like, there's more to life than this, you know, and, it doesn't matter if you have all A's on your transcript in 20 years, or, like, God forbid you have 1B, you know, nobody cares. Like, it just never mattered to me. Like, obviously I wanted to do decently, but, like, past a certain level, like, I knew it's just not relevant in the real world, so I didn't push myself maybe as hard as I could have, but, again, like, I just don't feel like it means anything, so my average was, like, I mean, we had, like, a point system, like 3.5, 4.0, but I think my guidance counselor said with the way it was weighted, it was really like a 90, so it's like a B plus, A minus, which is like a perfectly decent transcript. But no, she's bringing it up like, well, you could have been better, you could have had the 97 average, you could have been valedictorian, you know? And then to say, you could have been the cheerleader with the 97 average, one thing she's always knocked me for, was how, I guess, well, I'll make another video about this eventually, how no matter what you do, you're never good enough for the narcissist. But she's always sort of mocked me for being, like, introverted and only having, like, one group of friends and not having, like, a million different social circles. And sometimes even my friends themselves she'd mock behind their back because they weren't the cool crowd. You know, like, look, this one's hair is this one's overweight, this one's, you know, socially retarded, this one's a band geek. She's actually referred to some of my friends as band geeks, like the American Pie stereotype. And this was a woman in her 50s at the time. Again, like someone who mentally just never left high school. So she's like, oh, you could have been the cheerleader with a 97 average. So it's like she wanted me to be this popular, skinny Barbie, perfect socialite type, prom queen type, and the valedictorian, all at the same time. And, you know, that in itself is, like, absurd enough, but the reason why I'm saying, like, she's showing who she really is, and why I had a problem with this statement, is that, you know, she brags to other people in, like, these carefully constructed speeches how great I am, and I'm so this, and I'm so that, and, you know, because it's a reflection on her. But then, when she's alone with me and she's agitated and unedited, what she really thinks of me starts to come out. And after this one sentence, like, had I not been living there, I would have gotten no contact right away. Because what she is saying with that statement, you could have been the cheerleader with a 97 average means who I am and who I was and who I am as a person is not acceptable to her. She hates everything about who and what I am. That's basically what that statement means. So she's basically saying, yeah, you know, you've never been good enough, I don't like you, you're an embarrassment, and you're disgusting. That's what I heard with that comment. And then I confronted her on it, right? And she's like, oh, well, I didn't mean that you weren't good enough if you weren't medicated. What I meant was medication could have changed who you were. And she was serious, like, so she's basically saying, maybe that was one thing we could have done to change who you are, because who you are is shit. That's what I heard, and that's what she meant. And then, you know, there's no other way to interpret that. I'm sorry. No other way. And, you know, like, the smirk on her face as she's putting me down. Like, I was saying in my other video, about the wedding planning in the Catholic Church, how she was saying how someone else went to the church without her parents intervening, and I'm just kind of shaking my head. I'm like, yeah, that's nice. And then, because she didn't get the reaction she wanted right away, she was like, I wish that was my daughter. So, like, and kind of like, she got a sadistic look on her face and, like, a tone in her voice, like, you know, so if if I would have reacted, I don't even remember exactly how I reacted, it was a while ago, but she would have been like, that's not what I meant, you're too sensitive, but the fact that she didn't stop at the first point, and she had to keep going, and even got like a sadistic look in her eye and her tone of voice, meant that she was trying to get me to snap or get me upset. And, you know, that just says everything, right? Sometimes someone's tone of voice, or the look in their face, or how they deliberately don't stop when they're trying to bother you. Like, it just tells you everything right there. Or, I said something about my husband once, like, I don't even remember what it was. Like, I thought he was mad at me or something. Like, something not even that big of a deal. And she got this smirk on her face. She's like, are you sure you want to marry this man if this is how he's treating you? You know, not even, like, serious, like, oh, this is a problem, I mean, that alone would have been a problem, because, like, it wasn't that really serious what I was saying, and even if she was serious, it would be making a big deal out of something that wasn't. But the fact that she's like, do you think this guy really loves you? Are you sure you want to marry this man? Are you sure? She had this, like, ear-to-ear grin, and she was clearly happy with the fact that I was even a little bit upset, and she saw it as her opportunity to go right in there and try to turn me against my husband, because she's been trying to break us up since probably for 2 years now. So she saw that as the perfect opportunity. And then I kind of shut her down too, because once she said that, like, are you sure you want to marry this man? And then she went on this whole speech again on, like, what I'm from and what he's from, and his family is low class. And I said to her, I'm like, you know what? Shut up. I don't want to hear this anymore. I say one thing to you that's not totally perfect about him, and you jump on it. And she's like, oh, no, that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing. You know, but she obviously, just the smirk on her face shows exactly who she is and what her motivations are. And one time, you know, like I was talking about with the wedding, how she would make comments like, I've never met a groom with so many opinions, because according to her, the groom is just supposed to get the tux and show up and have no interest in his own wedding. And then she even said to me, she's like, yeah, and if he didn't care or wasn't interested, I'd probably be complaining that he doesn't give a shit. This pissed me off, because she's basically admitting straight out that she's a bitch and is going to complain no matter what. So I'm like, yeah, Ma, so, you know, you're a bitch and no one can ever make you happy. That's it. She's like, I know. Literally, I'm not even kidding. I know. Like, she knows that she's destroying me psychologically, and, you know, she's proud of it. And I confronted her once, too, on how, you know, she told me in first grade that I was chunky and needed to start watching my diet. And I said, Ma, you know, when you get on a kid like that for food and calories and start picking out things about their body that are bad, you're going to give them a complex. Either they're going to be 600 pounds, you know, like bedrest, like totally one way, you know, using food to cope, whatever, or anorexic and, you know, that way. And then she's like, I know. So, basically she's telling me right there, from the time I was 6 years old, she's been trying to give me a food and body complex that's totally disabling and, like, derailing everything else in my life. And she even admits it, and she's, like, basically saying, yeah, that's what I did to you, and that was my intention, and I want you to suffer. That's basically what she told me with that I know and that smirk she did. So, again, like, she's truly an evil woman. There's no misinterpreting, like, people say, oh, I'm sure she didn't mean it that way, she just loves you, or, no, this woman, she has told me time and time again who she really is, and, you know, for someone who brags about how young she looks for her age and all that, it doesn't matter, because she's fucking ugly on the inside, and, you know, she knows it. I think the thing is, she knows it, and she's proud of it. She just, I think, and the reason why she gets off on me seeing it is because she knows no one will believe me if I call it out to people. So I think that's where she gets a lot of her pleasure too. That the fact that she's constructed such an elaborate mask, and a lot of people are never going to see who she really is, unless some of them someday find this channel, which, you know, you never know. But yeah, I'll see you soon on the next video.